In this recording, Toteras looks at our obsession with where we are going, how men have become bootlickers and leading people.
Listening to the stories of the Trojan Wars. Here you have to go to college to learn about the Trojan Wars, and I was raised knowing all the characters, all of this, all the gods, all everything, from constant hearing it from the time you're little. And everything is passed down as folkways, folk tales. And our mythos actually is the same word as folk tales here. So when we say mythos, when we say mythologia, mythos, it means tell me a story, mama, you know. So I used to ask my mother, pesmu mythos, you know, tell me a mythos. But what we have it here now is we have mythos looking for man's metaphysics, which is a total different thing. It's how now we're talking about using mythos as a tool, where mythos is not to be used as a tool. It's used as an expression of one period of time, expresses itself to the other period of time, expresses itself. It talks of itself. Like in the old country, you're with your grandparents.
Hi.
And you see your grandparents dying, so you know how old people die at home, right? Over here, you got to go study gerontology to be able to do that. You see that part, that expression of one generation to the next does not exist here. This doesn't exist in this country. So how do you expect every generation of man in this country acts differently? One says, oh, in my generation, they didn't do that. The men stood up and took their hats off. In my generation. You don't hear that in countries that have ethics that go back 2,000 and 3,000 years. Who has ethics that goes back that long? The French do. The Italians do. The Italians in Italy connect themselves with the Colosseum. They connect themselves with everything that went on in Rome. They connect themselves with the 7 hills of Rome. They connect themselves with that place. They think they've always been there. And their great-grandparents 100 times removed is from there. So the ethic of the place and its awareness, they all blend together. They become one thing. Over here we have this given, that given, that given, and you have to memorize all these things. And then somebody has to help you put it all together because you can't put it all together. So you go to a counselor who goes over the steps that you tell him and tries to redefine these steps for you so you can understand where it is that you've been. Where it is that you've been, man. You don't even know where you've been. It's just like walking, don't know where you're at, don't know where you've been, don't know where you're going. Hey, you know, that's pretty hard. You know, figuring as to where you're going is a very difficult thing. And the American is obsessed with where he's going. He doesn't stop to look at where he's been. He's looking to where he's going. He's got his nose out front, right? Manifest destiny. But now it's become some kind of manifest destiny in the brain, in the thought. Like out of the English-speaking language, most of these fakirs, these socio-philosophical fakirs are appearing. I may use the word not so much critically, but merely as descriptive. These social fakirs are popping up who tell us that if we do this, this, and that within a certain step program, that something will take place. They're searching for our metaphysics by touching into Indian mythologies, old Greek mythologies, Indian, every culture in the world is so. How about an American mythology? Let's say that I am a mythologist and I'm going to put together an American, not an English, an American mythology. Wait, we're going to have to put it together.
All right.
With what we got.
All right.
We can't exclude ourselves because we're too young.
All right.
And our mythology now begins by what? A president who never lied. Some things there, and then we scoop immediately. Like there's a big changeover from 1810, 1812. All of a sudden, there's something is missing, and it leaps forward really fast.
That's right.
And it goes into the Southwest, and then our mythology begins with desperados, man, with adenoid idiots, with killers. Every kid that you know knows who Wyatt Earp is. Every kid you know knows who Billy the Kid was. Jesse James. These are our mythologies. These are our heroes. These are our in epical grandeur, man. You know the songs of Jesse James, the epic of Jesse James, Jesse James this and Jesse James that. And you can see now Robin Hood is popping up. I bet you're going to see now movies of Jesse James popping up, redone in a modern version being seeing something in him other than just his idealism, seeing something more human in him through our psychological investigation. So you see, we're not too young to have a mythology. We have one. The only thing is it's green. It smells green, like smoking green dope. All right, place inside this milieu of event, place a man in it, an American male. And he's growing up, and his father tells him, his father comes home wearing a suit and a tie, and the pants in the back are creased because I'm sitting down in a chair too long. And the father now, does the father want him to be like him? Always the parent in an up-moving society always wants his child to be better than him. Right? When there's mobility up that way, there's always, I want you to be better than me. There was a time in history when people wished that the kid would be just the same, not better than, so he passed the trade off to him. And there was no such thing as taking aptitude test. You fucking have to learn that trade, man, and enjoy it, Like if you were a baker, your family might be bakers for the next 1,000 years. They didn't change. You were lucky to be able to get into something that you could eat. Because if you fell out of that, you were gone. People didn't go shopping for work like they do now. And now man is inside this kind of thing, and he comes home and he tells his kid what? What does he tell his kid? The kid's sliding a little, doesn't want to come home at 9 o'clock at night all tired with a bag. So the kid's not following that road. And the old man's telling him now, I did it, you can do it. You see what I'm saying?
I heard the same conversation in my home.
You see what I'm saying? How are they going to match? The kid don't want to do what the father's doing.
It's the color of the head.
Kid don't want to do what the old man's doing. There's a certain point here where the male now doesn't know who to be like. He doesn't want to be like his father. He doesn't want to take on the characteristics of his father. He smells on his father. He smells on his father that bootlicking attitude. To survive today, you need, as one of your virtues, you need tolerance. And tolerance, when it's translated out and it takes on because a word opens up another world to you. There's multitude of meanings to a word. And it's how you shape that goddamn thing that you really start working on the concepts of it. So you can take a person who has tolerance and extend that to acceptance and acceptance of what takes place, right? Permissiveness. He permits things to happen to him. Like the boss comes down and tells him, I don't like what you've done. That's the first step. He got away with it. The next time he comes around and tells him, not only don't I like what you've done, I think that something's wrong with you too up here. So pretty soon, like if you give a man an inch and he's going to take another one. You learn to insult somebody, and tomorrow you're going to add one more insult because you want to see him move. You want to see him cringe. You want to see that look on his face. You want to know that you've gotten to him. Do you understand what I'm talking about? They tell you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm telling you? You show up like that one more time, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send your ass home. I'm going to keep you there. And you're going to be begging me on the phone to get back to work again, and I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you no, man. I'm going to tell you you're going to have to kiss my ass on Market Street before I give you your job back. Now, you think I made that up, huh? But I'm not. That was told to a friend of mine who was a middle management, and they asked him at AT&T to take this job or that job, or to take his pension, or to take his pension, or he's going to be fired. And when he questioned that, that's what the conversation ended up in that. Guys with suits and ties on talking like that. What they did to him, what did they do to him? They might as well have taken his prick and his balls and cut him off like that and threw him away. They emasculated him. Now, you cannot emasculate a woman because she has nothing to emasculate. Right? A woman can't be emasculated. So that term's gone. It doesn't mean a woman can't be insulted. It just means she can't be emasculated. Only a man can be emasculated. And you emasculate the person, and he comes home and sees his wife, he's emasculated. An emasculated man now looking at his wife, looking at his children. How does this guy feel? Just like dragging him out and giving him a beating in front of in front of his kid. You know, you've ruined the guy when you've done that. You ruined the kid, you ruined the guy. Yeah, the American male is totally emasculated all the time. So he takes on manly sports, does manly things, looks at these football games where men charge at each other and smash each other. It doesn't make any reason. This reason is because there's a ball flying in the air, but there could have been anything. It could have been a flying fish. It could be in anything. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a ball. It could be any fucking thing. As long as there was this pretext to smash into each other, these huge men, the ultimate of what a man should be, you know, the krona, this huge things, and they just smash and destroy each other. This is the wish of every fucking person in this country. These guys go to work and they kiss the boss's ass, and they come out and they have a mastiff and tattooed arms and wearing a tank top t-shirt. These phonies. They're just as phony as the other side of the phonies. They're just as phony.
That's true.
They're physical phonies, you know.
It's absolutely true.
There's intellectual ones and there's physical ones.
The Gold's Gym phony.
Yeah.
They're everywhere now.
What's that?
The Gold's Gym. That's the big gym where you go and you work out and you get your muscles like this and carve your body.
That's pathetic. To me, that's pathetic.
It is.
It's out of balance.
And attention to the body like that, you know. And they're, you know, the fish stinks from the head down, you know. I mean, if your head goes out, your body could be beautiful, but it's just useless. It doesn't have the right commands anymore. It just sits by itself and admires itself like Tantalus did, or Narcissus did. They look at images and are tantalized by them. You know, they look at, he looked down and saw the tree coming down. He looked up, and by the time he looked up, the tree would go up. He would only see the tree coming down when he looked into the pool. And when he looked up, the tree was gone. It would go up. So he looked down, the tree would come down. Just as he go to reach it, he would go again. That's the thing with the...
Makes a wonderful image.
With the human body. It's with the human body. The human body should be what it wants to be. If it wants to be 300 pounds, that's what it wants to be. That's where it's happy at 300 pounds. If the human body wants to sit and sloth, that's where it should be at. It should, because the head and the body are going together. Right? Like yesterday...
But they're alienated from each other in our culture, aren't they?
They're alienated because I take my body to a gymnasium and I pump iron and I do all these things and I try to make it beautiful.
Alienation. That's an example of alienation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Like my desire is to move the least amount possible. That's my desire. Man. It is.
You enjoyed that. I mean, you revels in that.
Oh, yeah. Like yesterday I took a walk. The last time I took a walk was on Memorial Day with Howard. That's the last time I walked. I haven't walked more than 100 yards since then. But that's what my body requires, that it doesn't walk. Yesterday it required that I walk, so I got up and went and took a walk. It said, I want to go walking. You remember yesterday I stopped?
Yeah,
I said, I have to continue my walk.
But that's rare that a person listens to their body in the way that you do.
Yeah, or that they're so tuned into their body they can hear it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. My body said I got to go take a walk. I didn't even question it. I just got up and went.
Well, you know, when I can turn off the chattering inside my head just long enough, I have that kind of rapport with my body. To the extent, for example, I used to come down with the most horrible colds and bronchitis, and I'd be laid up for weeks. You know, that kind of, no more. And what it is I get a precursor. There are little precursors of something it's like lurking in the wings. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, hey, take a nap, get some rest, you know, or whatever it is my body needs to do, and I do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't do it out of pampering or out of,
No, it's time. You got to check the oil.
That's exactly.
Oh, you got to check the oil, to put water in the battery. There's all kinds of crap, man, you got to fucking do. There's all kinds of crap. See, like, I'm a great believer of this. I eat the food that my people have been raised on for the last 3,000 years. I don't come from anywhere. I come from that one spot. When the earth was created and they created that place and the people that got there, that's the people I'm from.
Where was that? Where were
Corfu,
you from?
Greece.
Hmm?
Corfu, Greece.
Corfu.
Yeah, you've been there? You've been to Greece?
Nope. That's one of my dreams.
Oh, yeah, I'm from Corfu.
I gotta go to Greece. The Greek islands, go to Athens.
Every king of Europe had a palace on Corfu. You believe that? It's so beautiful. At night, whether it's winter, spring, or fall, or summer, there's a mysticism that takes place. You know the cypresses that Van Gogh painted? All of Corfu's like that.
Really?
I'm serious when I tell you, man.
Oh, beautiful.
You'd think that he came there and painted it all. Oh, yeah. It's all aflame. They're aflame because of the way the sun sets.
Oh, gorgeous.
In the Adriatic, Corfu's in the Adriatic. And when the sun sets, it sets across the Adriatic, and it just sets Corfu aglow. Sets it on fire, man. It's amazing, amazing pyrotechnics of light. And in the wintertime, there's thunderstorms over Mount Olympus, way 1,000 miles away. And you can see the thunderstorm on top of Mount Olympus, and the gods are there. You start going, Iu, Zevs, Vasilevs, Tochronon, Imoni, Pandon. Right? Iu, Zevs, Vasilevs. Zeus, O King Zeus. Almighty, Iu, Zeus, Vasilevs. These are the opening stanzas of Aristophanes' The Clouds and Nepheles. These are, that contact of awness is there with the Greeks. That awness, because it's a goddamn place that does it. Man, it's weird. The place is weird. Islands that are pure white, alabaster white, pure white. Everything is white. And then there's lines of blue painted across things. Right? And all of a sudden it looks like one of these haiku Zen gardens, right? The one in Japan where there's a mama stone and a papa stone, and they rake it.
Yeah, right.
That kind of simplicity. You know what's the most difficult thing to achieve? Simplicity.
Oh,
Simplicity, man. If a person can get
that's what I wish for.
That's right. That's the hardest thing in the world to obtain, simplicity. Because in this simplest way, you have to compress and generalize more and more. There is a movement afoot to destroy simplicity, man. There is. These critical thinkers, they're out to destroy simplicity, because to bring simplicity, to write something on the back of a matchbook, means to be able to see the whole thing. But when you see the whole thing, you've generalized. You've made one big generalization. Well, you know damn well, if you say anything that's holistic, you're generalizing, so the people that are in for non-generalizations will try to bust it apart. So how can we ever look at the world holistically when we have subjects like critical thinking who are trying to pass laws that we think in that goddamn perverted way?
That's the biggest buggy boot going, is to make.
Oh, it's the most insidious goddamn thing that's ever been placed on mankind.
There's a process going on now that really scares me, and that's what I.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The enemy of generality is critical thinking. They want fragments. The more you can.
The whole thing is based on it.
On fragments.
On fragmentation.
Fragmentizing something in order to be able to understand it.
Well, only that specific group that knows
Like
how to
killing
do
the
it.
fish or
Yeah.
killing the ape so you can study him. Yeah,
Wordsworth's lines were murder to dissect.
That's what they did.
They murdered to dissect.
Is that right?
That's a line from one of his poems. Yes, it certainly is.
You see?
That's reductionism.
It's reductionism, right. It's reductionism. I mean, now what we have this insidious activity afoot. And what is it doing? It's trying to, at a critical moment when we should see the relationship of everything to each other. Like, look, we don't have time to figure out how things relate to each other. We haven't got the time to figure that out. All we can do is assume that all things relate to each other and go from there. We don't have the time to figure out that crap of how this relates to that. It relates, man. You know what I mean? The trees relate to us, and the fish relate to us, and that whole biosphere relates to us. And we don't have time, you see, now to sit and figure out what it is that relates to us. We just have to assume that it all relates to us and move on from there. But you can't, because of the activity now that's taking place, that the computer is helping do this. Like the computer is fragmentizing thought. For the first time in people's lives, they actually see that they can file their thoughts inside of a folder and, and go down the line and just categorize everything, man. Even they categorize everything, the color of the hair, the blue eyes, the whatever, any shape you want. You can keep breaking it down and down. So now critical thinking has moved in, and they said, this is great. This is what we need. Like we can really move along with this critical thinking because everything is going like that. We could actually put things on a computer. We can computerize thought. They're looking for tomorrow. They think that robots and robotics is going to ask now for computerized thoughts, and they'll know exactly how to do it. So it does serve a purpose, but it doesn't serve a purpose to mankind. It serves a purpose to man's inventions. It's an invented form. It doesn't take the natural way that the human thought process moves. It's now an inventive form, right? Something new has been invented to go along with this period of time. Now, how does man relate to this period of time? How does man pop up? And who in the hell is man this decade? In the 50s he was the hippie.
And I'd say more the 60s.
In the 60s he was
in the 50s it was the
beatniks was in the
beatniks,
50s.
Yeah.
And then the hippies in the 60s.
In the 60s and early 70s.
And then the yuppies started after that.
The late 70s.
Yeah, and now
80s.
then the me generation.
Then the me generation. Was
And
the
then
80s.
and then whatever this is. So you see, almost every decade, man. Like the one in the Second World War, the lost generation. And every decade seems to have a name to it, because it seems that man changes his attitudes within a decade. And this guy Yankovic did a work, and he said that whatever attitudes the middle class get, that they drop these attitudes into the next level within 5 to 6 years. All right, so it gets down to the lower classes within 5 to 6 years. So the decade has enough time to get the middle class and the upper part of the lower classes together to make an identifiable thing, and then it says, okay, somebody names it, and that's the name of that decade. Like the 90s haven't been named yet, right? Somewhere in the middle of these 90s is going to be named. Like now they're distrusting the psychoanalyst and the therapist. They're going to distrust counselors. They're going to distrust people who come up and say they know what it's about.
Well, is that a healthy or unhealthy sign, in your opinion? The distrusting.
I think it's terrifying. I think it's terrifying to the culture that has no wise men in it. A culture that has no heroes other than fucking make-believe heroes.
To me, the biggest disaster in this century was Sigmund Freud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really think that man was a disaster.
Who?
Sigmund Freud.
Oh.
Because he impoverished our souls and reduced the whole of the human psyche to this repressed region or realm, which was just simply repressed material, sexual material. No myths, nothing. None of that had any palpable reality.
Let's examine him 1 minute and say, okay, who did he affect? Now, seriously, who did he affect?
He had an unbelievable.
No, but who
impact.
did he affect? Who do we know offhand that he affected?
All of psychology.
Yeah, but what?
The
What?
educated class.
Yeah, the educated. That's right. Exactly.
And he said what? He said that
Middle class.
he said that he was going to search things out through intuition. He was intuitive. You got so.
He may have been. But
He saved-
his followers here in this country.
Let me point this out. I'm not a fan of his, but let me point this out before I miss it by. I feel the following, that he saved the concept of the soul through this century. He saved it. He put it in a
Saved
box.
it?
He saved it.
In
Yes.
what way?
I tell you why. Because on the other side was the behaviorist who claimed man had no soul. And this guy here at least said that man had intuition and it went down somewhere where he didn't know. So I mean, we still had an opening for the soul.
I see.
The other guys was absolutely blank, man. There ain't no fucking soul.
We were just simply.
This guy left. This guy left mythology come in because that Jung, or whatever his name is pronounced, Jung. He dealt a lot on the mythological, on a consciousness that was collective to all people.
Right.
There's an attitude that all people. Darwin said the same thing in his work when he sent letters around the world asking if expressions of awe was the same in all these countries. Did man, he asked in his questionnaire, did man, he said, in awe, open up his eyes and his mouth, and he described what awe looked like to the Englishman. Now, if he had a camera, he'd have hired a good photographer to take pictures of a guy in awe, right, and send it around the world.
A good model and a good actor.
Yeah, right. I mean, we've studied what awe looks like. But see, there's always that thought that maybe mankind has some similarities to them that make them all the same, really. All right, and then there's a collectiveness here. Now these intuitive psychologists, Freud, Jung, and that Adler, they work the same thing. An intuitive attitude inside of you. So it made it possible for psychoanalytics because they went backwards into your life. They went into analytics, right? Analytics goes backwards, don't it? Synthetics do what? What's the difference between them?
It goes forward and put something together.
Yeah, and analytics goes backwards and goes into a state of reductivism, right? So that is the material activity of these thoughts. Because once you grasp a thought and you put the thought within the system that it belongs in, you can see now how it operates within its own system. So now when you have arguments of creation and evolution, they're really the same argument, aren't they? Because to have evolution, somebody had to jumpstart it, somebody had to kick it off. And then when you have creation, the guy didn't have to go through all these processes. He was just made whole and put on just like a mechanical toy, and he went on. So now you're talking a creation is more mechanical because a creation is also an invention, isn't it? It's not. There's a difference between a discovery and an invention. Something is discovered. And then something is invented. Like technology is not a discovered thing, it's invented. But things that take place within it become discoveries. Like we're discovering that the ozone layer is being fucked over, right? And now we're starting to think, does this relate to that? We're discovering certain activities that take place when things come together in some kind of random chance. They come together and they put together something else. Now, do they create something? Do they create something? There's something that comes together with something else. Does it create something? No, there's no human activity there. Nothing's created. There has to be some human activity that takes place in order to have a creation. So we impute by the fact that we talk of creation, we're imputing that God is somebody who can put things together. On the other one, we're saying that he kicked it off.
Yes.
He kicked it off. So the Gaians, the ones that are starting now to follow that the earth is they're going at the beginning, at the archi.
The football team.
Yeah. Like at archi, like the one that Aristotle says that all things have an archi, all things have a beginning. Right? They have a beginning. So you have that. You still have the same argument. Because is there any other? Is there any other? Yes, there is. There's celestial beings coming and putting their ass here. You know what I mean? That guy Van Daniken did that with the Chariot of the Gods. So he's found another way. Now, is there another way that we can do this? I mean, we're getting limited as to the explanations. So we pick the ones that are the best. So these guys here, these intuitive psychologists, pick the intuition as being the area to work with. Picked analytics. The other ones picked synthetics.
But normally I think of intuition and analytics as opposed to each other. So
Right.
You're saying that they use both.
No. The intuition is something here.
Yes.
Analytics is a tool. Analytics is an argument.
Okay.
It's one of the arguments.
Okay.
You have many arguments, and analytics is one of them. Matter of fact, the father of analytics is Aristotle, right? He has a work called the Analytics, doesn't he? And you have some works by the Stoics on analytics. And you have some Roman work on analytics. Analytics became a very popular discourse in the medieval times because we could always use analytics in discovering the existence of God. See, parousiasis is the word that's been translated to existence. Parousiasis. Parousiasis, something that is observable, right? It's there.
Yeah.
It's not only apparent, but it's there. It commands time and space, like something that came in front of you, something that came from the state of becoming into the state of being, becomes apparent to you, but that thing had parousiasis, it made itself apparent. So you have many, many ways of looking at reality in classical Greek, which allows for different viewpoints. So one trained in the classics can see the activity, can see, like you say, intuition and analytics. They seem somehow not to be compatible. You know, because one has to do with reason and the other one has to do with intuition.
Well, a good analogy to that, for me, is Amadeus Mozart, because he describes in one of his letters to a friend of his that he said it was all he could do to get music on the piece of paper. I mean, because he had a requiem, he said, like somewhere up here waiting, and he sensed intuitively the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was just waiting to be elaborated on the paper. And he had a sonata over here and a concerto over here and
That's right.
a symphony. I mean, what's he talking about? I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah, these things happen, you know, but why they happen? Because these people are conduits.
I mean, he really was a conduit.
Yeah.
And I think he knew it.
You probably didn't even have time to reflect on it. He was just too busy turning it out.
In fact, one of the incredible things is they said most of his music, there were no corrections.
That's right.
No correction.
Yeah. They were amazed at the fact that his first manuscripts were always his last ones. Came out just the way it came out, and that was it.
Did you see the movie? Any of you see the movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When Salieri just says,
Wasn't that a fabulous scene? Did you see that film? Isn't it fabulous?
He just drops the music. He's just so dumbfounded. I mean, he just can't believe it, you know. I asked a musician whether it really is possible to hear the music in the way you were hearing it in the movie. You know, like as if Salieri was hearing that music while he was reading it. And a friend of mine, Larry Rosenthal, who's a musician, said yes. Said a trained musician.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you read music, sure, you're supposed to be able to read the music and hear it in your ear.
Yeah. But
I mean, you can't possibly
play.
play.
When you've got different instruments playing, so you're really having to.
You mean, could Mozart hear all the instruments?
No.
He could.
Mozart's wife brings this music because they're broke and need money.
Yeah,
so
and he reads it.
Sell the music.
And he reads it just like you read a poem.
Yeah.
I mean, when you read a poem, don't you hear the person's meter?
Here you got the horns going, the violin.
No, but they read it the same as you read a poem. You know, they're so used to reading that stuff that they read it like you read a newspaper. They read a symphony. Yeah. You get these guys up there that play in the symphonies, they read the score right there and they hear it in their ear. Mm-hmm. They have to be able to do that or they're not musicians. Being a musician means being able to do that. Being a musician means being able to hear tones and being to replace them through your fingers or through your lips.
Well, there's two kinds of
into
musicians.
Tones,
there's
right?
The one that composes and the one that interprets, right?
Right. Exactly.
So when you were looking at Mozart and Salieri, you were looking at two different types of musicians.
That's right. One who was composing and the other one who was interpreting.
Right.
That's really true.
So Salieri couldn't compose.
He wanted to, though.
He wanted to, though. He had
but
this
he couldn't.
incredible.
But he could interpret. He could hear it.
Yeah. The irony is that he appreciated Mozart. He realized how great Mozart was, even though there was this incredible envy. Jealousy.
He said he was the prince of mediocrity.
That himself, about himself, yeah.
He was the prince of mediocrity. That's a great awareness, man.
Oh.
He used to pray to God, he said, and give evocations in this salacious son of a bitch who fornicated with everything in his way. Yeah, aggressiveness requires backup systems. Really does. It requires that you go out and develop the ability to carry through your aggressiveness. And if I want to get through something, I want to bully my way through something, I can't just bully through without nothing up behind me. If I shove you and you shove back, I got to be able to make the third move.
Right.
So aggressiveness requires the training of the character that requires to be aggressive. So now what would be some of the systems that are evident in society that develop aggressiveness? A lot of these seminars and tell you how to put your foot into the door. Aggressiveness, goes along with something else. Aggressiveness goes with that ability to sell, because if you're aggressive with no purpose, it's bad. You're just aggressive you're a sociopath. Like aggression without any directed purpose, you're a sociopath. Aggression with a purpose, you're ambitious, hardworking, and a good American. Right?
That's it.
The same thing, only it's the same thing, aggressiveness, but with purpose, without purpose. So this is something that purpose has a lot to do with the way you're viewed, man. If there can be something that shows profit inducement to what you're doing, it's perfectly understandable to every good American. As long as you can show them that maybe the purpose is profit. Profit. And if you're not really, going too far, it's all right. We enjoy fooling people here. It's part of our nature to fool people. We like it. A good example of fooling people was this poor Iraqi. They fooled him. They wiped him out. They made him big. They made him strong. He should have read Herodotus when Herodotus said one of the worst things that you could do was to build a man up in the eyes of others. And they did. They built the poor guy up, fooled him, and wiped him out. Right? Is that my phone?
No. Hold on.
So we have to go through all the modern virtues that man has and see how these little incidences now take place. What's happened is we've defined the whole subject. We've defined modern virtues. We know that they're there. What we're looking at is some of the aspects and ramifications of it. How far does it extend itself into our everyday life? How far does it extend itself in the relationship that I have with a woman, which is really, when you stop to think of it, the most basic thing that has to be taken care of, the most basic thing. You don't know who you are unless you're with a woman. You don't know who you are. You have an idea of who you are, but you don't know who you are. Because when you're with a woman, you edit. You edit your life for her. You take all the weak points out and add strong things to it. You're seeing your image in the eyes of this woman. She responds to you with feeling. She responds to you. You get to fuck her. She pets you. She does all kinds of things. She turns you on. She lets you in on erotic areas of the mind. She does all these things for you. And you telling me that she's not the most basic, essential part of your existence? A woman is the most essential part of your existence. The most essential part. A woman has dealt with and messed with and done with 99% of your whole existence. 99% of all the time you've ever spent in your life, you spent it with some woman. Am I right?
That's absolutely right, man. Jesus.
Yeah, either in the pursuit of them or the spying on them.
The running from,
running to, running with.
Yeah.
All these things, man, they all require time, effort, money. And all of a sudden, like somebody tells you, well, go out into the woods and find out who you are. Bear yourself into the desert and see who you are. How in the hell are you going to do that? You're a man without a woman. That's who you are. You're a man without a woman. So when you come back into it again, that's the first thing you're going to do. When you look down in your pants and you find your pants are rising up from certain desires that you haven't sort of taken care of when you were out in the desert. If you're sincere about getting rid of not being around with women, then cut your dick off. You don't need it. You can piss through a straw like the eunuchs do. You don't need it. You don't need your balls. You don't need your dick. You don't need none of that shit. And just to ensure that you mean what you're saying, do that. Strip yourself of masculinity. Emasculate yourself and see what happens then. Follow your words through. If you're going to be aggressive as one of your virtues, then be aggressive first and foremost on yourself. Well, I find nothing wrong with self-mutilation. I think it's one of the greatest shows of aggressiveness there is. Yeah? Oh, sure. I had a friend of mine, Chester. You know Chester. He lived in a monastery. He was a monk. And they would get up 3 or 4 times a night and flagellate themselves out of a dead sleep. Get a whip and just whip themselves, whip their balls. Had little nicks on the end of it and just lash themselves. And then the head honcho, they would ask them, did you hold back on it? Did you hold back on your flaggations? Was you easy on yourself? He'd ask them that, and they'd have to confess. And, if you lied, you can't keep lying. So pretty soon they said, yes, we're holding back on administering punishment to the self. But if you want to be aggressive, that's the first place you want to take your aggression out on, is on yourself. Take a stick and beat yourself with it. Find out ways how to be aggressive with yourself and see how much you can endure of your own self-aggression before you give it to other people. Right? Huh? Yeah. That's if you really mean it. Now you can change the meaning of what aggression means to mean anything. There's been people today who've been changing the thought. Everybody out there that's selling the man thing is keeping one thing in mind. He knows that aggression is part and parcel of modern man's hardware. That's what he's stacked up with, man, today. He needs aggression or she can't make it. You got to go in there and, man, you got to fucking tell them off, You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't make it, they sweep you aside. You got to be willing to go the extra mile to get that thing, And without aggression, you don't go anywhere these days.
Oh, yeah. This guy that the car got fucked up with, the $250 deductible, right? With the deer got fucking hit. Right, yeah. I took it down to this shop and I told the guy, I said, listen, I need this fucking car by Friday. That was on a Monday. No, it was on a weekend. And I said, I'll lay it down to your shop. But I said, I don't want you to bullshit me. I said, I want it in a week. And I mean in a week. That means from Monday to Friday, I want that car. And he says, no problem. I said, don't tell me that now and then tell me something else later. Right? Mm-hmm. I said, you hear me? So when I took the car down there, I said, $250. I said, this bill's pretty high. I said, did you include my whatchamacallit in it? My
deductible.
My deductible in this? He says, your deductible's $2.50. He says, I said, listen, I said, you're a reasonable man. And I said, think about what we've been talking about. I said, you're a reasonable man. Now I'm going to go down there, I'm going to tell him. He didn't have the car ready. And they called me up. And they said, the car's not ready. We won't be ready till this coming Wednesday. That was this Friday. So I told the lady, I said, okay. I said, but I want you to tell your boss. I said, I'm fucking taking taxi cabs from now on. And he's going to fucking pay for them. He's going to pay for them. Because him and that whatchamacallit made a deal. They sent me theirs. They give it to the agent, the blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Everybody's in on it.
Everybody's in on it. And, and I'm out of it. So I tell them, you're a reasonable man. You understand everybody's in on it. And I'm in on it, too. I had $250 worth of transportation costs. They want me to take you to court for that or what, So you accept it. You follow what I'm saying? So instead of asking him now to give me my, to give me my deductible back, which could be against the law, all depends how you phrase it, right? Right? My deductible. I tell him I'm going to charge you for keeping me on the fucking, I told you I needed the car.
Right,
So it cost me $250 to do it. That's my deductible, right? But you got to be like that with these cocksuckers, man. You got to be aggressive. You can't pull back. You know, you got to make noise. Hey man, what are you talking about? Fuck you. You got to get like that with them. They're fuck you. You got to. That's what they're doing. Don't you see? It brings it about. The conditions bring it about.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. So, I mean, it is now a virtue. A virtue means the following. It doesn't mean, oh, thank you, pal. Yeah, that's great. It doesn't mean somebody who's pure. It means somebody that's Ariston. That if he has it, you know, he's Ariston. He's excellent. Yeah. The word aristocratic comes from that. Aristos, right? He's excellent in the society. And a man without virtue today is going to be eaten up alive. A man without the aggressive virtue will be swallowed up. He'll be sent to the poorhouse immediately. Did you see all that jazz?
Yeah.
Remember that guy with the Visine?
Oh, yes.
Ah.
That was an aggressive guy. He got no sleep.
That's it, folks. That's all. The show is on. Okay, so we have this. Are we on? Or off? Don't wait.
We're on.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Oh, we've been bullshitting here.
It's all right.
You gotta stay alert. On and off. You gotta know when I'm bullshitting and when it's time to turn on. Hey. Yeah, really, I don't even know myself when that is. So I'm asking you to do something that I don't even know. Yeah. Okay, we have, and what we want to do is the following. We want to demonstrate that historically, man's inability to get along with woman is really more of a problem of man's than it is of woman. The women are somehow in response. The actual mechanisms, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the actual mechanism. But I've seen historically, we can see historically, the attitude of women in ancient Babylon, ancient Egypt, the Islamic women, the Chinese women. We have certain amount of information to see how things were put together in the past. Women in India, women in the Mediterranean area, Roman women, Greek women. And we see that there's always some sort of movement that women take when men go too oppressive, maybe. Maybe that's the word, too oppressive. When they go too oppressive. And we're having a period now where it's required of the male to become extremely aggressive in order to make it, right? High tech means cutting edge. Cutting edge means holding hand. Holding hand of the sword means striking with. Cutting edge means to cut, means to slice. It means to dismember. The cutting edge. Well, what do you mean by the cutting edge? It's not the soft edge, it's the cutting edge. It's the sword, right? The metaphor, it's still to the sword, isn't it? To the knife, to sharpness, to dismemberment, to victory, to killing. Well, it's not. You carve cheeses with the cutting edge of what? I mean, you know, what do you do with that? With the cutting edge?
You be aggressive.
You have to be aggressive. The cutting edge means that it's in the hands of an aggressive person, an aggressive warrior, if you might want to say. It's an I see no difference than the thought, the aggressiveness of the past in the warrior. The aggressiveness was in the warrior. The warrior had aggressiveness. Now what's happened is aggressiveness has moved into the businessman who pictures himself as a warrior, an economic warrior, an economic Sir Lancelot. They have terms, white knight, and terms that a white knight rides in and saves a corporation from the awful hands and dismemberment of the arbitrage or the takeover masters, or the Pickens and the other ones. The one who took the TW. What the hell I can't remember his name. I can't remember their names. They're the modern knights of the Round Table. Icon, that's his name.
Right.
Yeah, Icon. And then the rest, I can't remember. But what's interesting is that, you see, what's interesting is that there's a connection. There's a connection with the warrior or the past being aggressive and the warrior, the corporate warrior today, who must be aggressive. Not only must be aggressive, we saw, but he also has to have them qualities about him that brings other people around him and around his ideas. Right? The ability to be able to engender others with your ideas and your will and your charisma means that they're not only born with it, but you've learned how to utilize it. You've learned how to utilize it in order to bring some profit to the corporation, to better the corporation. The corporation can be almost viewed like some kind of feudal fiefs, where they just pyramided themselves up into the higher structures of the king. You know, it's a pyramid, right? And it goes down into the fiefdoms. And this is what we see now in corporations. And also you see the corporations have also made hallowed grounds for themselves. B of A has a big building in San Francisco. The Transamerica has a pyramid building. A.P. Giannini has his own tomb there in the Bank of America. I mean, this is, I think he's buried in the vault in the bottom of the bank. Oh, yeah. There's a whole lot of activity going on, you see, in modern times that resembled something that come out of the...
Egyptian period.
Well, no, the medieval period. Oh, yeah, no. The 9th and 10th, 11th century. Well, you have the same kind of martyrdom now that you did in them centuries, too. You had a high rate of martyrdom in the 9th, 10th, and 11th century. And you're having the same kind of thing now. There's been more martyrs in this century here than what in the last 3 or 4 centuries combined. Now, from the beginning of this century, kings have been shot. Archduke Franz Joseph in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, was shot. Ignited the First World War. Right. I mean, you know, all these social heroes that we had. Martin Luther King. Kennedy.
Both Kennedys.
The Muslim. I mean, on and on and on the assassinations are taking place. And these are martyrs, you see, and also all to the causes of unionism. Martyrs like Joe Hill. I mean, you know, everybody has its martyrs, right? In this century. And I'd say the last part of the last century and all of this century has been just filled with martyrdom. And along with that kind of martyrdom, you have, you know, marching on kind of crusade that's taking place. And along with that, you have the changing male. Now, the male, how can he handle the modern woman? When the modern woman wants equality, and this guy is gearing up for aggression. This guy's gearing up he's high charged, man. So what does he do with the women? Does he rent his women, or with the standards that women have set now, can he possibly live with a woman? Would exhibitions like the man has today, his virtues, that what he finds virtuous today, is that compatible with women? Is that compatible with what women feel today? This myth that man is developing about himself, now he's developing a myth about himself. He's beating drums. He's trying to bond himself with somebody. It seems to me like a low-grade homosexuality is taking place. You know, low-grade. The higher grade is sexual contact, sexual union. But this one seems to be like a low-grade fever, low-grade homosexuality, where men are hugging and crying on each other's shoulders, and the women are saying, that's not what we want. We don't want that. We don't want a guy who understands all the time. I mean, how boring to understand somebody all the time. It doesn't put any obstacles to him. I mean, if you're to grow with somebody, you got to be able to say, I don't understand what you're saying. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you understand everything somebody says, something is wrong. It is. Something is wrong. It means you already had drawn opinions on it. It's all been settled. There's nothing to talk about. Doesn't need to be talked about. So you're not going to get people that are agreeing with each other, you know, in the end come apart. They've agreed with each other. There's nothing that they disagreed on.
No challenges, no obstacles anymore.
There's no obstacle in the arguments. There's nothing that sets us apart from each other, you know. You have to be able to set yourself apart from the other person, too, in order to be able to see the other person. Or you'll be looking at constant reflection of yourself. Every time somebody says something, the sycophants all applaud, right? Yeah, man. You know, like when they generals and all their colonels, general says something, you know, and the colonels are going, you know, and then pretty soon, general says, I'm making a lot of mistakes because these colonels aren't.
They're not telling me what's going
They're
on.
not telling me what's going on. That's what helped Hitler make a lot of mistakes. Nobody would tell him anything anymore. Pretty soon, he didn't have any eyes. Nobody would tell him anything because he'd go into fucking rages, man. So he wasn't getting any information. So what happened is the people that had access to the information became the most powerful. Like, listen, I was listening to a program the other night, and this buffoon is on it. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep. And I'm listening to this fucking guy, and somebody called up and he said, you know, the media controls a lot of. He said, nobody tells me what to say. Never, never, never. I can say whatever it is I want. And he went on and on and on for about 10 minutes. And, you know, somebody just would have told him, well, you don't say anything. That's why nobody bothers you, you know. You don't say anything that's not in the newspaper, you know. He doesn't say a fucking thing. Nothing, not a fucking thing. I just turned it off. I couldn't listen to it, you know what I mean? I couldn't listen to that. I couldn't listen to nothing, right? But that's why the media lets him on, because he's just a buffoon. He just keeps shooting his mouth off, calling people stupid, you know, going on like, right?
One of those guys, sure.
Yeah, right. So what's a style?
That's semantic style that those guys are doing.
And you can hear the ones that really got something on the ball, you know, they know how to, you know, draw the conversation out, how to make it, you know. But what does it tell you, man? What is it telling you? It's telling you something. It's telling you about modern man. Wake up. What is it telling you? It's telling you about something, isn't it?
They want to get scolded. They want to tune into scolding. They want people that are free-standing, that stand forth as individuals who, you know, thrown off any chains of what anybody else is going to tell them.
Yeah.
That's the dream of America, that you can come here and be anything you want and say anything you want.
Yeah, so we see we're having problems with that goddamn modern man. We're really having problems with him. Because though he needs these things to survive, needs these attributes to survive, they're absolutely destructive in the relationship that a person has with a woman. The way they get together. Because if they're both like that, they'll just tear each other apart.
Or if one isn't, then the other one's just going to ride the other one into the ground.
Yeah. See, so it's like an aggressive man. He doesn't want one woman. There's no reason to have one woman, man. There's no reason. Like this guy yesterday, I was walking down that way, and he knows this guy, Don. He has 4 kids, 3 girls, and this boy. And he doesn't want the boy to be called his boy. It's his son. His son. He said, to take on my name, to, you know, as if he meant anything. As if he meant anything, as if he exhibited some fucking talents that mankind should have. Of royal blood, you know? You know what I mean? That kind of hubris. Hubris of the first order. What were we looking at? Why shouldn't this man be able to say, why shouldn't he with pride say, my son? Why shouldn't he with pride? Because the world's overpopulated. We don't need assholes like that no more. We don't. You see what I'm saying? The world's overly populated. At one time, people would have been proud of him to say his son, you know.
But now there's 5 billion people.
There's 5 billion every hour. You see, we want these guys to sneak around now and say about their son. Not with pride, right? No, the times are changing. The way I feel, other people feel. The things that come into my head is coming into the heads of other people at the same time. I hear things. They're hearing things. They don't put it together. They heard it, though. I put it together, and they recognize it. And they said, I heard that before. I heard it in my ear. You want to lead people? You just got to walk in front of the way they're going. That's how you lead people. Right? They're not going to turn their heads and come this way when they're going that way. They're not. Why not? Because they know what they want. It's out there. It's just over the next hill. It's just out of sight now. We'll be there tomorrow. Hold on. Right? That's all part of the fucking litany. We on? That's all part of the litany of modern thinking. It's part of the ceremony, the modern ceremony. The looking out over the hill, the evocations and incantations here as we move on over the hill into the new order of things. There's a valley out there that has no garbage dumps. There's a valley that has clean water. There's a valley where the sun shines and the trees bear great fruits. You know, it was the same kind of place that Moses was looking for when he was leading them scandalous Jews out of Egypt. Huh? So what's happening today is they're all looking for their Moses. Their Moses to lead them over that hill and into that valley of quietness and plenty where the milk and honey flow. This kind of richness, this kind of not wanting anymore because it is there. The pension plan. The pension plan that the slickers just ate up. The pension plan, wait till everybody realizes the pension plan is gone. There ain't no more. The money's gone, the people are in destitute, old women screaming that this guy Keating stole their money. Oh, honest men. These are honest men. They were businessmen doing business in the modern way.
Aggressively.
Aggressively. With profit at the end. All these virtues must profit. These virtues must be used to profit. Most of the fundamental religions are all geared to profit. Profiting, the soul profiting. The soul profiting? My soul could profit?
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense because, you know why it doesn't make sense? The objects, profit creates another object in my mind. The object that it creates in my mind is that I did something of disequal value. And somehow or other, I gained from it more than was coming from the activity. I gained more from it. What could that be? A wise man says that he gains more from his experiences, right? So one would say that a wise man profits from his mistakes, right? You don't really... But then, we're not talking about wise men. We're talking about a soul. The soul profits. We're not talking about the soul of a wise man. We're talking about soul, and it's not attached to anything. It's a soul. The soul can profit.
That is a strange thought.
Yeah. And since we don't have any souls anymore, what would profit today? My bank account. My bank account's my soul. Yeah. My bank account, if I got money in my pocket, I'm happy, man.
So true, man.
Oh, yeah.
A couple bucks in my pocket and I'm on top of the world.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to work. For me to feel comfortable, it takes about $600-700 in my pocket. Then I start feeling comfortable. I feel like I got money. Even if I just borrowed it from somebody. And I put it in my pocket just to feel good. Like a lot of times I'd ask friends of mine to lend me some money so I could feel good that day. They would. They'd lend me. I'd pick up maybe $500-700 in a day. I'd give them to them the next day. And I'd put the money in my pocket. And I'd walk around. I felt good. Pulled it out, looked at it, put it back in again. I felt like I had made it. The next day they all stood in line and I just paid them off like I was paying them off. Right? Because money will make you feel comfortable, man. Because it's the exchange today of security. You can't feel secure without money. There's no way in the world.